It is 6:40 a.m. We are on our way to the airport to test out our Parajet Zenith, and it looks like a gorgeous morning. Look at that sunrise coming up. Well, good early morning. Today's the day. We are out at the airport. We're going to test out the Parajet Zenith. I'm going to show you guys what it's all about. I've flown this thing probably about 5-6 hours so far, and I am very impressed all around. I couldn't be happier with the purchase. So it is a perfectly calm morning. I'm going to give you a little panoramic shot. We got a glorious sunrise coming up in the background. So let's go ahead and get everything set up so we can get this baby up in the air. Now I know what some of you might be thinking, why am I not assembling the paramotor, right? Why didn't I put it inside the car? Traditionally I pack it up the night before. In the mornings I just want a nice easy throw it on my back, take off. But at the end of this video, we're going to disassemble it. I'm going to show you that process, how easy it's become, and some tips to make it a little bit easier for assembly next time around. So we're going to get everything set up, get this guy up in the air. Now, a couple things I've added to this machine since I've gotten it is, of course, I've put my strobe up here. I put my reserve, of course, and we've got to have the off-grid throttle. That is definitely my favorite throttle so far. The one that came on it was kind of nice. It had the dual start button, of course, but no cruise control, and just the handle on these throttles is so much more comfortable. It's foam, it's rounded versus kind of the square or the sharp edges of the Parajet. And then I like to put a tachometer on my throttle. So basically what I did is I ran new housing all the way up and hooked that to the spark plug so that way I can monitor my RPMs while I'm in flight. You might think, why is that important? I like to be able to tell if my idle is good. So there's times, I use earplugs and I have muffs, so it really quiets things down quite a bit. And it's nice when it's running really low to be able to check that and make sure that my RPMs aren't too low where it's going to die, or definitely not too high. I did notice it on one of my flights recently. It seemed like it was running high at idle, and I checked the RPMs. It was at 3,200 RPM. So what had happened is I looked back, and it seems like that spring that came with it just wasn't providing enough tension to push the cable all the way back. So I stretched out the spring, and I think it's going to be working just fine now. So, all right, let's get this guy up in the air. Take a look at how beautiful this thing is. So we've got a nice breeze right now, so we're going to actually kill our motor. Now that's one of the things I love about a dual start system. In the beginning I wanted a dual start, and the training that I went through, they advised against it. They just said it's not worth the added weight and the functionality is not reliable. The two systems I've had, this one and my prior one, have worked awesome, amazing. I haven't had any issues with it restarting again. It's just nice to be able to kill the motor, glide around a little bit, have a little bit of fun in some peace and quiet. Maybe do a couple wing overs.
Here comes our big one. Oh, yeah! Oh, feel those G's. Ooh. Whew. That'll wake you up in the morning. So anyway, we can play around in some peace and quiet, and then we just fire it up when we're ready to go. You can't complain about that. And my buddy Travis made a good point when I first had my dual start system on my other setup. We show up at the field and I started up to warm it up, and he says, that's what an $8,000 to $9,000 machine should do. It should start itself. Makes a good point. Now I started Velcroing my phone to my leg. I've always used this tether, which is nice, and I kind of set it between my legs, but it's been nice to have my data right in front of me. And I just use a piece of Velcro tape. If somebody knows of something better, if they make an actual leg strap, that'd be pretty cool if I could just leave it there where I could launch and land with it connected to my leg. That'd be kind of handy. I haven't been doing a great job of checking the winds at altitude. You know, I just look at the ground and be like, oh, it looks like it's good. Then you get up high and it's not as pleasant. Now I want to get a little bit off topic here. I got banned from Facebook, and I really only used Facebook for, you know, a couple friends and some paramotor groups, and I would sell things on Marketplace. Now, I don't know why I got banned. First of all, my account got suspended, and they gave you a 30-day suspension. And they wouldn't tell me exactly why. The only thing I can think of is, over time, I've expressed my opinion on some political things. And I think this is just my assumption because I don't know for sure, but I know what I've posted on. I know what I've responded to for other people's posts, and it's nothing out of the ordinary, nothing I've ever not done in the past. I haven't amplified up my post. I haven't said anything crazy. I haven't sworn on there. I haven't called anybody out. I've actually been complimented, honestly, from a few people on the left at my ability to understand or at least try to hear them out, even though I didn't agree with some of the things they were saying. So the only thing I can think of is my account got suspended because they saw a pattern of me tending to lean toward the right. Now, I'm not going to say I'm a conservative. I'm definitely not a liberal, but I definitely lean more toward the right. And some of my viewpoints and my opinions on things tend to lean toward the right. So when I would comment on things, obviously they would lean toward the right. So the only thing I can think of is they saw a pattern of that, and it got to the point where they suspended me. Like I said, I don't know for sure. That's part of my frustration, is that they haven't told me why my account was suspended. And I kind of have mixed feelings on this because as more of a conservative, I believe that as a business owner, you should be able to pretty much do what you want to do. You should be able to sell what you want to sell, and you should be able to decide who you're going to sell it to. Now, of course, that comes with some exception because you can't discriminate, right? We've gone through all that process. We're back in the 50s where businesses wouldn't allow black people to come into their places of business, and that's not right. But in the modern era, say you have a website where you have certain political views, and you say, we really don't want people coming in and trolling this site and agitating everyone, so we're not going to allow liberals to enter this site. I think that's totally fair. I think that should be the way it is. It's your business. It's how you want to run it. And as a business owner, I would not want somebody coming in and telling me what I can and cannot do. Now, on the flip side, as a business owner, every customer has the potential to bring more customers. So, and it works the other way too. So if I turn somebody away, I have the potential of turning many people away because they're going to spread that word. Facebook, I feel like, is at the point where they make so much money and they're worldwide, they could care less if they lose 100,000 people. If 100,000 people get suspended and removed, what's the loss to them? Now, I'll admit, Facebook really didn't earn a lot of money off of me. They took a percentage of some of my marketplace sales. I did do some advertising on there for my business, but nothing significant. So it's not like I was a customer that was bringing in profits. However, I find it difficult because I've been on there 15 years. I've never had any issue. And the fact that I wasn't told why I was removed. That's probably the most frustrating part of it all, is I wasn't told why I was removed. It's fine. If they say you're removed because you said this, and that goes against our beliefs, then I'd be like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. But not hearing anything and them not giving me any information. So anyway, my account was eventually disabled. When it's suspended, it says up to 30 days, and I filed a grievance. You can click a button for them to review it. And I assumed that they would review it, and then after 30 days, my account would go back to normal. That wasn't the case. After 30 days, it actually was deleted. They said everything, my account's been deleted, everything's been removed. Now, the disappointing part about that is I've had Facebook since my daughters were born. So I had all of these pictures of them, all of these videos of them, and most things I have on a hard drive still. I didn't just put it up on Facebook. But it was all organized, you know, and you can look back by the year and all that. So it sucks to have lost that. The last issue is I have an Oculus VR headset. And up until this month, you had to have a Facebook account in order to use that. Now, not a big deal. I didn't like the idea of that in the beginning, but hey, I had Facebook, so whatever. Well, when your Facebook account is suspended, all of my apps are purchased through whatever Facebook is using for that. So those apps go into kind of a hold mode. I could still use them, but at the end of that 30-day suspension, when my account was deleted, I lost all of those apps that I purchased. Now, I didn't spend a lot of money on it. I really just used a few different games. There's a couple workout games that I had on there that I would do pre-workout, and my daughters used them as well too, so I lost those. All of the stats that we had for all of our workouts, my daughters did a great job of recording everything, and all that's gone too. So it's just frustrating that it got to that point where Facebook has so much control. And I was talking to Kristen about it, and I said, you know, the reality is it's my fault because I gave them that control, right? I had an account through them. I uploaded all this data, giving them control over my stuff. And it's the same thing with the VR headset. I knew it was Facebook. I gave them control over that, where if they decided one day, hey, we don't want you as a customer anymore, I would lose all that. So it's not necessarily their fault, it's my fault as well. But it just kind of shows you the era that we're in right now, and you really have to be careful about how much control you give to a company. Whether it's your utility company where you're heavily dependent on them for your comforts and water and gas if you use that for heating. So just keep that in mind when it comes to just the world that we live in. We want to make sure we're retaining some level of control over our existence because it can be pulled out from under you immediately. It's gorgeous out though. It's that perfect temperature where you need a jacket, but you don't need gloves. I like that. All right, yeah, it's not good for, Jesus. I think the wind is coming from the west there, so we're getting some rotor over that little hill up there. That's my guess. So we'll go up a little bit higher here. I forgot my sunglasses at home, and I like having some eye protection. That's the biggest thing. After riding motorcycle for many years, a bug in the eye is one of the worst feelings. I think the wind took us a little farther away than I thought. I've never flown over here before, but this is awesome. What a beautiful property. They've got this they've got this pond over here, or actually a little small lake. Really cool motocross track. Nobody really around to disturb. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And just a tiny house on the property. Can't complain about that. Okay, let's get back to the Paramotor here. That's what we're here to talk about. Now, I think Paramotors are all pretty much, you know, if you're using a Vittorossi Moster 185, the Paramotor itself are all pretty much the same. You know, we're thinking about balance and weight and, you know, how does it look, stuff like that. Overall, I'm just very happy with this machine in general. The motor, of course, is a brand new motor. It's smooth as can be. I love that. We'll do a breakdown when we get back so you can kind of see how that process works. But I have nothing to complain about it. It's cool that you can customize the color scheme, which I really like, the orange. By the way, I just had this orange jacket. I've been flying with it for a while, and it happens to match the Paramotor. I'm normally not too concerned about matching, but it does look kind of cool. So anybody watching this video that flies Paramotor, if you guys ever want to come to Knoxville area, let me know. We can go explore some of these cool areas of flight. Tennessee is growing so quickly, population-wise, especially after COVID and everything that's gone on politically. A lot of people are gravitating to Tennessee. There's no state income tax. It is a red state. The land prices used to be very reasonable, not so much anymore. We're waiting for that to kind of tone down again. So unfortunately what that's bringing in is a lot of money as well. And just like any situation, you start bringing in people with a lot of money and prices start to go up. So, I mean, look at some of these homes. It's just amazing what people are spending on homes right now. I was talking to Travis the other day, we were flying, and there's this really cool area off the mountain that I'd love to kind of paraglide down. It's got a great slope, so you could pretty much go no motor and just paraglide down. But there's not an out. There's not a field nearby. If you don't have the motor at the bottom, you're gonna end up in the trees. And we were talking about it, and it's funny, he said, you know, there's like a 95% chance you're not gonna have a motor issue. Everything's gonna be great, you're gonna have the time of your life. And that 5% chance is enough to not do it. I fly that way. I fly like, I'd say like an 80-20. There's an 80% chance that nothing's gonna happen, and there's a 20% chance that there is. So I'm sure there's people out there who are more 50-50. I see some videos out there of some of the things people do, and they might be like 40-60, I don't know. But I think the 80-20 rule is a pretty good way to experience paramotoring, the thrills that come with it, and a little bit of risk, because, you know, a little bit of risk comes big reward, but not a substantial risk where, you know, who knows what could happen. Now, one thing with that risk reward is spot landing. I've gotten to the point where I could land in that guy's front yard. I'd feel comfortable landing in his front yard if I had to. So that's a good size space. But if you're not good, or you don't feel confident spot landing, you need a long glide, you need lots of time to come in. Then you got to change up that risk reward scenario to probably that 90 or 95-5. So work on those spot landing. Yeah, the winds actually feel really good right here. Final impressions, flying this thing, I couldn't be happier. The balance is great for takeoffs and landings. Parajet just really does a good job with all of their stuff, from their harness to their arms to the hoop, the cage. I was really happy with my Maverick as well. This is, like I said, a little bit bigger, so it takes up slightly more space. The price difference really isn't that significant. So if you're really looking for a machine that you want to be able to break down and transport, I'm not sure how far I would take this as far as would I break it down and put it on an airplane and fly somewhere with it. That would be really cool to do at some point. But for the main thing is I can break it down and I can put it in my car. There's been a couple times where I've had my paramotor on my cargo rack, which is great, and I get to my destination, and because there was dew on the road or we had a light rain, you know, the thing's just covered in dirt. And I don't like that. I like to take good care of my stuff. So I'm also looking at designing a cargo box that won't fit the paramotor when it's fully assembled, but it'll fit the paramotor when I break it down. I think that would be really nice and very handy, keep it more secure. Something I could throw the wing in there, put some tools in there. That would be pretty awesome.